Hello, hello.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for
Good.
joining me. Kind of early probably for you, I would think. You're in Nashville right now.
Actually, I am in Austin because my sister is graduating college today. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Can you hear these text tones coming through?
I'm not hearing anything at the moment.
Sorry, my mom was texting me. Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas for my sister's graduation. She's graduating college, so that's exciting. And we're leaving here at like 10:30 and 9 now. So,
Oh, that's awesome. So what is she graduating in?
communications at the University of Texas.
Yes, I have known a few who've come out of there. One of my best friends went there, and he's a big executive at Fox News in Washington. So there's
Oh,
always,
wow.
yeah, yeah. Graduated a lot of good people out of there. Austin is really cool. So,
Yeah, Austin is amazing.
yeah,
Honestly, Nashville, where I live, is pretty similar to Austin, and that's why I'm so comfortable there.
yeah, a lot of creative types. It
Yeah.
must be a lot of fun. And then there's so much of a
Well,
nightlife there too.
honestly, I wouldn't know yet. I'm about to be 21, May 31st. Not that I don't go out and like try to have fun, but I think my social life will probably change a lot when I turn 21. That's what my mom keeps telling me. She's like, it's gonna be very different. She's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
your life begins when you turn 21. I'm like, I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Just a number at this point. God, I remember I was finishing up school. I was turning 21. I remember that. It was just like there was such a relief because, well, not that I was ever a huge drinker, but it was just like it's the thrill of the hunt. So I was
Yeah,
able to get a hold of things that I probably shouldn't have gotten a hold of, but it was like that was a lot of pressure off my back once I turned 21.
right. Yeah, that's funny.
And it really is. It's a monumental year because I remember that year being the year that I knew I was going to go into television and film production and do this kind of communication stuff. And I did my internship when I turned 21 and had a blast.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely changing. 21 is like a pretty big change. I feel like it's like on to the next thing. We're 21 now. It's getting real.
But you've known for a long time what you've wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people haven't figured it out at 21 and maybe even 31 and beyond. I mean, you've really had a pretty good idea. When did that first start? It started when you were a kid and you started writing and you knew that you could sing well.
Yeah, I had always been a creative, and I knew that from a very young age. And I kind of just growing up, I couldn't find my thing. Everyone in my family has a thing, and they are extraordinarily good at their thing. And I'd try different things out. I'd try their things out, and I just never quite was good. Like, I guess, I mean, I was always good at what I was doing. That's the thing. I was always good at it, but I wasn't their level. And so that kind of drove me crazy. They still like loved me and supported me, of course, but it drove me crazy because I'm like, everybody here. I mean, my sister was a D1 All-American athlete, for volleyball when played volleyball at SMU, and then now she's transferred to University of Texas. And then my dad played D1 football at University of Texas. My mom modeled back in the 80s, and she was a pretty significant model back in the 80s. And so I'm like, what's my thing? Hello. And I was always really good at art and poetry and everything in that realm, but the public school system didn't really, I don't know, it not that it didn't support, and that it was something I, you know,
Yeah, it takes a lot. It really does to really to compete. Is that a kind of a Texas thing? It seems like, because people are such high achievers in families like that.
I don't know if it's a Texas thing. It's kind of just, I guess who knows, my inner circle and our family's friends, they're all, they've all been very successful in what they choose to do in life, and that can be intimidating, encouraging, but intimidating. Especially because, there's a sense of relief for me because my dad and my mom are very supportive, and they're also very good role models, and they're like here for me with whatever support that I need, and you can do it, and how do we help you. But then there's also a sense of intimidation because this is a weird career path.
Yeah, not
nobody,
your conventional.
nobody
Yeah.
that I know, nobody in my family has ever said, hey, I'm going to go be a musician, I'm going to do this. They are business minded people, athlete minded people, so they have an insane amount of dedication and drive where it matters. But when it comes to the creative part of it and like the risk taking of being a musician, they're like, I have no idea what to tell you. That is your realm. You do you, and we will support what you want to do. But I don't get it. I don't get it, but you're good at it. I don't understand it, but do your thing. And so that was kind of, when it came to making the decision for going to college and doing that, it was a big argument within my family because the norm is you go to college, you get your degree. And I don't know if that's like a Texas thing or what, but
Mm.
everybody in my family was like that. And so it was very scary for them, I think, whenever I just was like, listen, I had amazing grades. Everything was fine. I was in college for, I think it was like a year and a half. And I finally just broke down. I think like being a creative, I am probably more emotional than the average human. But I just was like, school was so draining for me. And it wasn't even the academic part. It was like, I've got one foot in this world and one foot in something completely separate. And I felt like I wasn't doing what I was passionate about. I felt
Yeah.
like any degree at the school I was going to would not support me with what I actually want to do with my life. And that was a hard conversation to have with my dad, especially because and he made insane connections by going to college and playing for the University of Texas. Um, but I couldn't find any connections or really much benefit at all doing that and being in school. And I think in a lot of careers, it is great and it is a very important thing to have your degree, and you need a degree to get a lot of jobs. But I wasn't trying to do anything that my dad was doing. I wasn't trying to work for him, and I had to explain that to him. I'm like, listen, I understand you wouldn't look at my resume if I didn't have that I graduated
Yeah.
college on here, but you also wouldn't look at my resume because I would never give you my resume. I'd never want to do what you do. Like, respect to you. You are great
Yeah.
at what you do, but I have a different calling in life. And so I think once they understood that and really just how draining it was for me, not following what I feel like I was born to do, they were like, fine, we'll try it your way. And I picked up and I moved to Nashville alone. Um, and I've been happy ever since and doing this ever since. And it's going very well. And I feel a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like with this kind of stuff, though, the School of Hard Knocks is the best thing. And, getting the real world experience when you're talking about working in TV, film, and music and radio and all of that stuff. So you got to actually just do it. And the classroom is really mostly theory, and unless you have practical classes, but it's mainly just theory, which like this is the kind of business though, it's hands-on. And no matter what you're doing, if you're the performer up front there on the stage doing the singing, the dancing, the performing, or you're the producer, you got to get there and just do it. The mixing engineer, you got to just get your hands on it. And that's rough to try to explain that to family that's so into
Yeah.
their schools. They're really into their schools in Texas too, just like they are here in Georgia. It's like, hey, you're going to A&M, you're going to UT. It's like so huge. And I know
Right.
that's like an identity there.
Yeah. I mean, and fair enough for my parents too, because I think they saw me try out so many different things growing up. I mean, I did everything because I didn't have my thing like they had their thing. My sister, she was always just stellar at volleyball. That was her thing. Boom, done, done. Went to clubs to do that and, killed it. My dad, his football, his work, my mom modeling and like being an amazing mom, extraordinary mom, and working on top of that. And I just was trying out any and everything until I had my thing. So I think it was probably hard for them to take that seriously because I'm like, no, you don't understand. Here's what I want to do. I want to stop going to school. I want to quite literally uproot my life and move away and pursue this. And, Austin is actually like the music capital of the world, apparently. And like, there's amazing opportunity for music here. But Nashville, I kind of looked at it as, when all your friends decide it's time to grow up and go to college and they go out of the state and they all go to college. I never had that. I never did that. And so I've always been kind of like a late bloomer. But this was my moving away and like growing up essentially. And I knew that if I were to stay in Austin, which would have honestly worked when it came to like the music part of it, it would have worked, but I knew I was going to use my family as a safety net. And so I was just like, I have to just force myself to do this because if I don't, like, if I have them as that big of a resource, yes, it's nice and it's a great blessing to have that, but I knew I was going to abuse it and I needed to grow up. And so that's what I did. And I moved and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. So growing up there while going to school as a very young person, you started getting into writing poetry.
Yeah.
Who inspired you getting into poetry?
Honestly, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I don't know if there was one specific person when it came to the poetry. That was just always I guess just being in English class, that was always my best subject. And I would just write, and my poems were always really good. And I always got amazing grades when it came to that. And so I kind of just was like, oh, I heard about something my teacher told me. And apparently you can write a poem and go and sell it and make money. And so here I am as like a 12-year-old child, and I'm like trying to
Yeah.
sell my poems on the internet, and it worked. I was like,
Wow.
wait a minute, this is something that I could do. And I've always been interested in singing my entire life, but I never really thought, I mean, where do you start? Where do you
Right.
start? Especially living in Austin and like my family, and of course I was like one of those kids that wanted to be a Disney child, and that was my biggest dream at the time. But of course all of those girls, they go into pop music, Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, and they have these insane successful careers. But that's who I was looking up to at the time. And I was like, how do you even start? So I just literally broke down to my mom and I'm like, please let me audition. Like I want to do this so bad. And also I was pretty bullied growing up, I would say. Like, I don't want to say it was horrible, but it was pretty bad. And I felt pretty out of place a lot of times. And I think part of that comes from being like a super creative person, and people knew that. And I think they thought I was a little weird. And I get it. I definitely was a little weird looking back on it, but I don't think anybody deserves to be made fun of. But that was just, it really sent me into this, like, I want to do this. I want to be successful. And I want to show all these like little kids that, it's okay to be weird and
Mm.
different. And sometimes it'll even work in your favor, but that didn't happen. That didn't happen until later. Because my mom was like, listen, sweetheart, I get this is what you want to do. Nobody was taking me seriously because they heard me screaming downstairs, singing in my room, and they're like, hey, Sydney, can you please shut up? It's annoying, right? I get it. But she's like, honey, these kids that do this, like, yeah, you'd be a great candidate for it, honey. But these kids, but their families quite literally uproot their lives and move to LA so that their
Yeah.
their children can be these, child stars. And I was like, can we do that? And they're like, hell no, respectfully. But that kind of, I was talking about this in another interview the other day. I heard this Selena Gomez song come on the radio Christmas morning, and I was listening to it and I loved the song so much. It was my first time hearing that song, but I thought it was so catchy and clever, well written, and just good that I actually got jealous. I got jealous after I heard this song because I was like, I wish I wrote that. I was like, damn it, why didn't I write that? And every time I would hear an amazing song, it would
Right.
kind of like, it would kind of piss me off because I was like, I could have done that. I could have written that because I'm looking at all these poems I'm writing. I mean, and it's no hit song at the age of 12 years old, but I was pretty clever and nobody knew. Nobody knew.
How
And so,
frustrating.
once I grew up and actually started showing, I guess, my family, they realized I was, oh, like she's actually kind of good. And, now growing up, I'm way more polished when it comes to my songwriting. But I kind of hit a point where I realized, oh, like other people are interested in music. We had some family friends that were in the country music world and they really mentored me. And they believed in me and they were like, this girl has a great voice. Let's do something with it. So that's kind of the point where I started putting my poems to music and making songs. And I was, I loved it. It was like the most satisfying feeling ever when you like come up with something and then you put a chord progression to it and a melody and it just clicks.
Hmm.
And it's something that I'm really proud of. And it's always like the biggest serotonin release for me when that happens.
So do you play any instruments? Did you teach yourself anything, piano, guitar, or you just hear melodies and you kind of write on your voice?
I do. I play piano and guitar and a little bit of ukulele. I haven't touched a ukulele in a
Ooh.
very long time, but
Hmm.
self-taught. This is how I've always been. I decided that's something I wanted to do, and I'm also just like I'm too stubborn to have lessons. I've always tried doing lessons and everything that I like wanted to do growing up, and I'd always end up quitting. And so I think I kind of assumed if we get a teacher, I'm gonna quit this too, and that scared me because I'm like, if I don't have this, then what am I gonna do with like what's my thing? And so I just never got a teacher, and I decided to do it on my own. Nowadays with YouTube, you can teach yourself anything. And I learned that very quickly. And so that's what I did. I got on YouTube, begged my dad to get me a guitar for Christmas, and he did. And I just started teaching myself. And that's what I did with guitar, and that's what I did with piano. And yeah, I mean, it works.
It's fascinating how people can do that, though. Yeah.
My first year of college, that is also what I did to teach myself math or like any of my classes that I didn't understand. I'd be like, oh, how do I do this skill and statistics? And I'd just Google it and click a video and watch somebody else do it and replicate it. And that's how I learned. So I think I've always been very self-taught with everything. And that's the easiest for me because if I don't understand a concept, I just rewind as many times as I want. So it
Yeah, that's a
works.
real gift though, when you're able to like hear things on the radio, whatever, you're playing music and then you're able to replicate that yourself just by sitting there teaching yourself and playing around on piano or guitar. It's fascinating.
I'm also like highly ADHD, so I think that's part of the reason why it's hard for me to learn. And I feel like
Um,
I also get stressed out if somebody is trying to teach me a concept because as hard as I try to focus and listen and get it, like I will be full focus mode and I still won't get something. And it's not that I am stupid and don't understand it.
yeah.
It's just I literally cannot help it. And then I piss people off because they're like, are you listening? Why aren't you getting this? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm listening. And I'll pick it up in 2 seconds if I am in my room watching a video. I'll get it the first time because who knows? But that's just how I am. But so yeah, I mean, music has always been an outlet for me. I mean, it's therapeutic. It's my time to get my emotions out and brings a whole nother factor to it whenever you start releasing music because I mean now it's different than like having stage fright and doing a live performance because this is something permanent on the internet forever and
Yeah.
on social media for everybody to see and hear. And this is my baby. These are my words. These words are the story of my life. And you have to be very vulnerable and also okay with being judged. And it's like a new level of acceptance that you have to reach in order
Mm.
to old enough to go and put that on social media. I mean, it's embarrassing at times, but as a musician, you can't give a shit. You just
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. I mean, you got to develop that thick skin. And, look, everybody's got to have some kind of an ego. Do you feel like you play kind of a character? I mean, these videos are awesome. I don't know, I'm sure who you're getting to direct these videos that are on YouTube and are all over the place. But are you taking on like that stage character persona, and you feel like you're about ready to go up on stage, or you're getting that next shot in the video that you're kind of getting into character?
yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't know if it would be like a whole nother character, but it is definitely an alter ego. I kind of step into this bubble when I'm doing a performance. And so those music videos, I look at that as a performance. I pretend that there's tons of people in an audience watching me do my thing. And you've got two options. And I kind of look back to, growing up and like being bullied and just being fearful, just like walking down the school hallway, feeling like I'm being judged. Everybody's looking at me. People are going to pick on me. They're going to say mean things to me. And they did. And I think that was really, really scary for me. And it made me very shy and introverted. And it kind of, that kind of converted and I carried that into my adult life in a sense. But my passion for music and what I do is bigger than that. So I definitely feel the effects of it still. But when I get on stage, I have two options. I'm either going to crash and burn and break down like I did when I was younger, when people were judging me, because I'm putting myself on full display to be judged by everybody willingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It helped me grow up. It helped me be a confident person. So I don't know if it would be a different character that I step into, but it's an alter ego that is the best version of myself, because I make a decision every time I step on stage, do a performance, or shoot a video. And that decision is, am I going to crash and burn and break down and cry and run off the stage? Or am I going to literally be a boss and be the best version of myself and impress everybody in the room and have that confidence? And I do. I pull through, and it's something I'm proud of. And, it is scary every time. It gets easier each time, but it's funny because people would probably look at me, people that follow me. I'm bold. Like, I post what I want to post. I don't care. And, especially going to the high school that I went to, the private, it's like a religious school and everything. And so I definitely was posting things differently than what the other girls in my school were posting. And I got kind of roasted for that. But I just stopped caring. I mean, the stage presence that I guess the version of myself I would turn into whenever I got on a stage, helped me a lot in real life, because I stopped caring. I said, I'm going to take risks. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to get it done. And I don't care who's watching. And I don't care who has something to say about it. So,
Yeah. It gets
yeah.
better as you get older. It's like, who cares? Once you get up over certain milestones in
Yeah.
life.
Who cares? I mean, I think everybody comes to that point in their life eventually, like you just stop giving a crap. But I came to that point in a very dramatic way. I had to literally do something that, all my friends were like, you're crazy. You're about to get up on stage in front of our entire school, faculty, staff, like principal, every single person, every classmate, everyone that's made fun of me. And I'm about to get on stage and sing in front of them 2 songs. And I did. And that was like, I told myself, if I can do that, put me in an arena. I don't care, because these are the people that I've got close relationships with, my peers, some people that have like been mean to me in the past, and I had horrible like in high school, but it definitely, it was terrifying. And Yeah, I mean, and I know for a fact I definitely got made fun of by some of these kids for doing that, but I didn't care. Yeah, like, this is actually funny person to reference right now, but Addison Rae, the TikTok
Yeah.
star, a lot of people I think judge her and make fun of her
Oh,
sometimes.
sure. I'm
But I
sure. Yeah.
heard her do it the other day and it really resonated with me. She was like, people come at you and they're like, oh my God, like that's embarrassing. I wouldn't do that stupid, cringy TikTok dance. That's embarrassing. And she was like, I mean, maybe it's embarrassing for you. It'd be embarrassing if you did it, but it's not embarrassing for me. And then she goes, nothing that you love to do is embarrassing. It might be embarrassing for them, but if it
Right.
doesn't embarrass you to do it. And I was like, facts,
Yeah.
like that is honestly how I've tried to live my life. I just didn't have the words that she had when she, explained that. But I'm like, yeah, I mean, that is the definition of me growing up and not caring. I'm going to do what I want to do because, like these kids are making fun of me because they wouldn't do that because it's embarrassing and it's cringe, but it's not cringe and embarrassing for me. It's what I love. And one day I might reach a point where hopefully I'm so successful at it that, I mean, people don't look at Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber and think cringe. I can't believe him or her is singing on the stage. That's
Right.
cringe. No, it's like highly respected and really cool and different and abnormal. So I'm
Yeah.
like, embrace your weird.
Yeah, these people have earned huge, huge success. You can't argue with success. And they're still going to get skewered. They're still going to do skits about them. And, then there's tasteless jokes about them. So I'm sure, that does, and it does affect them. And they've had their struggles publicly. I'm sure that's got to be very weird at times. But at the end of the day, gosh, you can't argue with success. They did all the right moves. They have
I
done very well.
tell myself too, everybody started somewhere.
Yeah.
I had some musician friends in LA, or I mean, I still have them, but I just haven't talked to them in a while. But they are very successful and they're in a very successful band now, highly respected, and I respect the crap out of them. I just think they're so talented. But they started off on one of those TV shows. I want to say it was like maybe The Voice. I can't remember, but it was a show like that. And they were singing like One Direction style, teeny bopper, like just complete opposite of what they're doing now. Like they can't even they literally tell me I can't even watch that video of
Yeah.
myself because it makes them just cringe and it is embarrassing as hell. And I get it because I've been there and I'm kind of currently going through that, just looking like where they started, which everybody and their brother would have said that's really good. That's really good for a 15, 16-year-old, right, at the time. But now they're 25 and up and they are killing the game. And they are just, I mean, they've got this alternative, I mean, this genre of music. They're kind of all over the place. They're good at everything. But the growth that they've had, it makes it embarrassing as the artist to go back and look
Oh, sure.
at what they were. But I'm like, you know what? Like, you shouldn't be embarrassed. I get why you are because I'm a musician too. And I had 7 songs out at one point that are now long gone. I'm sure you could still find them somewhere if you search deeply in the internet, but I deleted them because it is not who I am anymore and it makes me cringe and my new stuff is just so much better. But I have to forgive myself for it
Yeah.
because everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. And it's intimidating and inspiring seeing where they are now, versus, where they came from, because I'm like, dang, I mean, they're 25 now, 25 to 28. That's the age range there. But I am 20 years old. And so I have to tell myself, if this is what I'm doing now, look at where they are. I mean, that's scary. And it seems like it's very far away from me. But, if I've got the motivation to take that same journey, then this is what I could be. So it's really cool being able to see that all play out.
So is your demo called Nothing? That was at 17. Is that out there in the ether? Is that part of that catalog that's like not like that anymore?
That 7 song album that I released, yeah, long gone. But what happened with Nothing and all of those other songs, a lot of them were written by I mean, lyrically, so solid, so good. A lot of them were written by Drew Womack, who's a highly respected songwriter, and he's written hits, right? And a lot of them were written by me. And so between the both of us collaborating, we wrote some amazing songs. I can't deny that those songs were very, very well written. But when it came to the recording of it, my end, yeah, I was 16 years old, and I hate them. I hate them. But I love how they were written. So I think writing has always been my strong suit. And having Drew there as a mentor and seeing what he does and what he writes, I was kind of like, dang, I wish he would have wanted to work with me. Like, I wouldn't be where I would be now if I didn't meet Drew, but he's kind of like an end goal person. Like, you want to work with him once you know what you're doing, because he's highly respected and he's great. But I think I kind of fumbled it because I was 16, but he wanted to work with me, and he wanted to help me take that journey because he saw the potential. He's like, well, I'm not going to pass this little girl up because she's not there yet, but maybe she'll get there, and she needs to start somewhere. So he was my where do I start, which is amazing to have him as that person for me, because he is so amazingly talented. So who knows, maybe one day we take those songs and rework them, because the lyrics are great, but when it came to everything else about it, I mean, it was country. Which country is fine, but it wasn't me at all. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know how to work with my producer to collaborate in order to come up with a sound we both like. I think I was just young, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. You do what you need to do, and I'm here to sing songs. Which nowadays, when you're an artist, you've got to put everything into that, and you have to be so solid, so happy with the product that you're proud of releasing it. And I think I kind of was I had my hands tied a bit, because my dad, he was funding all of this recording. So here he is. I mean, all of us are completely unexperienced in this area. And I say that because they especially have learned a lot when it comes to the music business. Just having them support me, they've seen it. But here my dad is paying all this money for studio time and people to come in to record with me, this and that. And then we get the song back and I don't like it and I don't want to release it. Nope, you're still releasing it. I don't care if you like it or not. So that's kind of how it was. And I didn't even want to like vocalize to my family that, I'm not sold on this song. It had nothing to do with Drew. He was amazing. It had everything to do with me and not like, I guess, knowing what to do when you're having like an issue or when you hear something wrong. See, nowadays, if I ran into an issue where I didn't like how the song was produced or something, or how the sound came out, I'd re-record that until we got it right.
Yeah,
but
become a perfectionist.
I didn't know that at the time. And like, you kind of just screw around on a program when you're producing it until the sound clicks, until you have that serotonin release where you're like, that's it. We did it. Didn't have that at that age. And so we ended up just releasing them. So, once I moved to Nashville and started taking this seriously and developed the relationships I have with all these amazing people I work with, we're wiping that from the internet. And that's what we did. So I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Like, I saw this like edit of myself, like my TikTok videos on YouTube. And this person had taken one of my songs, or one of my old songs, and like put it behind this picture collage of me. So that's on YouTube somewhere, but I'm like, ooh, dang it. It's fun.
Once it's out there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. So your big single, Insane, is that your latest with Keith Thomas produced, who's worked with huge names? Chris Brown and people like that.
Yeah,
That's got to be
right.
doing really well.
Yeah, yeah. No, Keith is amazing. I'm so lucky to be working with him. He's the best, and he's like my Nashville dad too. Because him and his wife, they just open their house up to me, and it's great because they've got a studio there, and I just go over and we just collaborate when we're feeling inspired. And he's a producer I feel like I can communicate with. If I don't like the sound and I hate it, Keith, I'm sorry, has nothing to do with you, but I hate this. And vice versa. Sydney, your melody sucks. I'm gonna be honest with you. And here's the thing, we trust each other's judgment. It doesn't hurt our feelings. You get straight to the point because you're comfortable with somebody. It's like I'm talking to my family. If I
Yeah.
was walking out of the house in an outfit that was horrendous or too revealing or whatever, and not a good idea, I would expect my mom to say, honey, go change. Right? Kind of like that. But yeah, no, he's great. Yeah, my next song, I put that together with him, as well as a couple other people, and it's in the works right now. It's going to be my next single that I release called Insane.
Insane. Okay, so we haven't. Yeah, that's just really amazing. What's doing really well is Medicine. That's now that video has some kind of religious connotations and themes in there. Is that all your idea?
It was, and like that was kind of like something I knew it was going to be a bit controversial in a sense. I definitely got a couple comments on it. I am Christian, and the song itself, the lyrics, it's a bit like, I want to say like mysterious and like alluring in a way. And I kind of used that place where where we recorded it more as like a gothic dark theme in a sense, and I know it's got religious connotations to it, but I didn't think too much about it. I didn't really care. I knew people would probably really look into that and be like, oh, like somebody was like, she sold her soul, guys. I'm like, no I didn't. I still go to church, girl. But I did it anyways because I loved this scene. I mean, when you're looking at different places to record and do photo shoots and yada yada, there's actually a website you can go on, and people rent out these different places that are dedicated to music videos and photo shoots. It's a whole like website, and that's where I found it. It was on, and I was like, this is the coolest setup ever. It's gonna be like smoky and cool. So I wasn't trying to like, I don't know. I think I grew up with the story of Adam and Eve and hearing all about that and like the snake and yada yada. And it was more of like a character, not saying that I would like relate to it, but the draw, I guess, and like the draw of the temptation and the lyrics, it kind of reminded me of that. So I really didn't think that deep into it and say, I'm going to make an analogy there. That's not really what I was trying to do. But after I recorded it, I can see why it would be taken that way. I really just liked the aesthetic of it. And I thought it was like really cool. And the thing where I was like, we're not doing that is there were Bibles in this little church thing. And I was like, let's take the Bibles out of here. Because then I was like, it's really going to be a thing. I mean, this was more of just like a setting. And, the cross, I mean, this was a setup. It wasn't a real church. It was a complete setup, was not legit. And the cross was a big old like neon lit up sign. So it was more like a really cool gothic-y nightclub in my eyes. And that's why I was like, let's take the Bibles out of here. I don't want to, disrespect anybody in a sense. And, I think there were probably a couple people that had some stuff to say about it, and I get that, and I know that, and I know that's moving forward going to happen each time. But I feel okay with it because I'm explaining myself, and also I'm religious as well. So when this is like disrespectful to my religion, I'm like, I'm in that religion, and I hear you, but let me clear some things up. This was not what you think it is. This is just a setup, and I go to church and I'm praying for you, girl. And I hope you're praying for me. And I did not sell my soul. Like, we're good.
Beautifully directed. Is that as the director somebody you know?
Jordan, his name is Jordan, and he is, oh my god, amazing. I didn't expect it. On like when I got to LA, I didn't really do much research. I just trusted my team because they set me up with him. And he showed up with a truck full, I mean, an entire, like a van, an
Sure.
entire crew. Like it was the most legit. It looked like we were filming a reality show. It was an entire crew, an entire setup, fog machines. They were on it, ready to go. And on top of that, Jordan's young. All these people I was working with, they
Yeah.
were my age, close to my age, a little bit older than me, which was very impressive. But he was on it, man. He was on it, and he was quick with editing it, and great with direction and hearing what I had to say as an artist. Here's what I'm trying to do and make it look like. And it was so fun working with him. And I got into a horrible fight with my ex-boyfriend that day. And so it really, really threw me off. But I know, like, you got to be professional about these things. And this was
Sure.
something I'd been caring for. I'm like, really? Today? We got to fight today? Like, I need to be on my game. So I blocked that out. I got
Yeah.
into my character, my alter ego, where
No.
it's the I don't care mode. And I went and I killed that day. And I was really proud of myself for faking it. I mean, people ask me, like, in these interviews, like, oh, like, what is a quote that you live by? I'm like, well, this is going to sound bad, but fake it till you make it. My mom has always told me that, but I'm like, we can't be having breakdowns. We can't feel
Yeah.
bad for ourselves right now. Crap is going to happen. You got to pull through. And so that's what I did. You fake it until you make it, and then until you believe it.
Mhm.
And so once I got into that zone, like my bad B zone, I really was able to, like, embody this character and put on a performance. And this was my first music video was Angel, but this was different. This was a very planned where I had a lot of say in what it turned out to be. And so I took it very, very seriously. Different than the first time in many, many aspects. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. I mean, I thought it was great. It was great experience. And moving forward, I'm like, obviously I've got a team of people that kind of decide what happens in the end, but I'm like, can we shoot the next video with Jordan? Please, let's go to LA. Let's do it. I mean, because it was just, I was so comfortable, and it helped also, I would have been able to pull through if it were, older directors. That's fine. Like, you got to work with who you're working with, but it definitely helped relating to them that they were
Yeah.
closer in my age. Cause I was like, hey, like, I can talk. I
Yeah.
can talk, actually talk
Yeah.
around these kids instead of having to feel like, obviously respect your elders, but I'm just, hey bro, what's up? How you doing, man? Like, let's do this thing. And if they had any complaints, I'd do it. If they had any complaints, they'd do it. Like, it's kind of an industry where you can't get your feelings hurt. You say what you got to say, and you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But it
Show
was,
goes on. Show is always goes on no matter what's going on in that personal life. It's like, yeah, you have to just keep that in its own compartments. And yeah. Yeah, totally. Angel's a really nice video. Seems like you have some acting chops there too. Who's the young actor who is playing opposite?
his name is Connor Saley. Great guy, good friend of mine. And how did I find him? Oh, I remember. Oh, I was so thirsty. Literally, my mom, she sent me his Instagram, Sydney, like, this guy lives in Austin. I'm like, oh, he looks familiar, but he's like really cute. So I'm gonna follow him. And that's what I did. And then I slid in his DMs. And we kind of started talking, like, just friends. And we were like planning on hanging out, never really did. And then I did my research on him, and I realized, oh, here's why he has the following that he has. He was on The Bachelorette, and The Bachelor in Paradise. So he was one of those guys, and he was like the hot 6'6"
Yeah,
successful cute
perfect.
guy on the on Hannah Brown's season. And so of course I'm sitting here binging that season, and now I'm like, I've scared myself in not hanging out with him because now I'm like intimidated. I'm like, oh, okay, which you can't be like that, but in a sense of like hanging out with this guy, I was like, oh, like that's so scary. He's like a reality star. It was just very intimidating. He was more than like just a cute boy. And I mean, he took the success he got from that show and he made it into businesses. I mean, it was intimidating for me it must have been 18, 19. I think I was 19 at the time. When we were actually talking about hanging out, I was 19 and he was 25, which that part doesn't scare me, but just the amount of success that he has and him, I'm like, he's going to look at me and think I'm a child, like, but so I kind of scared myself out of hanging out with him. And then when this music video concept came around, we were like, who is the hottest guy that we can think of that's also tall enough? Because I'm 5'10" and I put on a pair of heels and I'm 6'3".
Yeah,
And
you need somebody
I'm like,
taller.
somebody just ridiculously tall, and good with direction, and maybe they can act a little bit, and that would just work. And he just completely fit this character and fit this part. And of course, we kind of roughed him up a little bit, gave him some like wife beaters, leather jackets, and some guy liner, because I'm like, I'm gonna make this man into my type. Let's go. And that's what I did. But when I tell you, meeting him for the first time, I mean, after my team reached out to him, he was like, yeah, I'll do it, which we've never met at this point. We've talked about hanging out, like going on a date, but we've never met because I've scared myself into doing it and it just didn't end up working out. So now he's being casted for this music video. And I'm like, oh my God, like the first time I meet him, he's going to have to play boyfriend. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
Oh my God. This is my first experience with like acting, but he's been down this path many times. So he was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, cute girl, let's go. I want to be in a music video. And so I figured, like, just to get any tension, I mean, it's not just playing boyfriend, it's playing boyfriend in front of my mother, in front of my father, and everybody else that's on set. I mean, my dad is watching this go down. It's awkward as hell. But you got to do what you got to do, right? But I figured, hey, we should probably meet once before this, just one-on-one, just him and I, to get any of like awkwardness, tension out of the way. So we went to dinner, and it was great. And I was like, oh, dang it, like I kind of like him. Ugh. Yeah, we went to dinner. It was great. We got any awkwardness talking out of the way. We've got friends in common. And so that made me feel a lot better. And then he showed up for the second time for this music video, and it was easy. Then at the end, and oh my God, I told the director going into this, I'm like, listen, I know we're gonna have to be very flirty throughout the entire thing, but like, there's just no way I'm kissing this man on camera. There's just
In
no
front of
way.
dad.
Right? I already like kind of had a crush on him that I wasn't gonna do anything with. I'm like probably never gonna talk to this man, right? But at the end of the day, I think the director, like, of course, at first it was like a bit awkward because we're immediately having to like be touchy and hold hands and all that jazz. But once we got that out of the way, like we were completely comfortable with each other by the end of the day. We were playing boyfriend, girlfriend all day. It felt very natural. The chemistry was there. And now we were working with something, right? And I think the director saw that and he saw how comfortable we were with each other. And he pulled me aside. He's like, Sydney, I know you said you wouldn't, but I really think this video needs a kiss. And I was like, oh, don't do this, bro. And I was like, I'll think about it. And Connor, he said this in front of Connor after that. Connor goes, yeah, I'm down. Why not? And I was like, oh God. I'm like, now I'm like, my 18, 19-year-old is coming out because I'm like, like, okay, I need to decide if I'm gonna let this happen. Like, of course I wanted to kiss him, but I'm like, my first kiss with this man is about to be on camera, like for everybody to see. What? And so I told him, we were kind of joking about it at that point. I was like, listen, Connor, whatever, like, we'll see. And so do you know that game with like the hoop that's the metal hoop that's on a string and you swing it and you try and get it on the hook?
Oh yeah.
Well, so we have one at the house. So we were taking a break and we were outside playing that game, trying to get the hoop on the hook. And Connor, it was his turn. I'm very, very good at this game. So I was like killing it each time. He'd like never played this game or wasn't good at it or something. But he had it, it's his turn. And he goes, "Okay, Sydney, how about this?" I go, "What?" He goes, "If I get this on my first try," which is like, you don't do that. You don't. But he goes, "If I get this on my first try, you kiss me.
Uh,
You let it happen on this video for your music video. We get to kiss if I get it on my first try." And I go, "Sure." Because I'm like, it's not going to happen.
yeah.
He hooks it on his first try. And so I'm like, oh, we're crying, laughing. So I cannot believe he actually just got this. So sure enough, we go inside. My family leaves the room. And it happens. I walk over to the piano and we kiss. And oh my God, like my heart was pounding, beating, because it was different than like
Oh,
a
sure,
first, terrifying, but it worked out.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you need to get going. You got to get to a graduation here, and which I'm sure is probably not too far away from where you're at right now.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, you have a good one, and medicine is out there on YouTube. Where else can we find you? You got your own website. This is a beautiful website, by the way.
Thank
Whoever
you so much. Me, Paul Mary on everything, all my socials, SYDNEYPALMIERI. You can look me up as Sid on Spotify, Apple Music, every streaming service. But yeah, Angel and my new song, Medicine, check it out. My newest song, Insane, is coming out 2 or 3 months from now. I want to say closer to 2, so keep an eye on that as well.
Okay, yeah, insane. By the time we see this, I think I'll be promoting it as insane as the newest single. So by the time I release this episode, so that sounds fantastic.
Cool.
Best of luck, and I hope you really keep enjoying Nashville. What a great creative arts community it is there. You have really good people there supporting you.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Take care. Have a good one.
Bye.